Yeah, he's the man from, the Kurgan to fucking, what's his name? Mr. Krabs. Yeah.
Well,
In SpongeBob.
let's not jump over Gus and Pet Sematary too. There's some good stuff in there,
Let's
buddy.
put some Mr. Crab in there too, man. I love Mr. Crab. Money, 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 money. So, let's drink to freaking Clancy Brown, who's just a great fucking man. And it was a pleasure to see him in this movie. The
Oh,
Clancy. Yeah.
Clancy.
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
What's your favorite scary movie? Swallow this.
Hi, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Arrow in the Head Show. That makes me Lance. That makes you John, and you are somewhere different, buddy. Where you at?
Your mom's basement.
Oh, you're in Indiana.
Yes. Yeah, man. She says hello.
Welcome.
She says, I'm just kidding. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Nice. Okay.
I was here for a pinball convention. So here's a little bit of pinball action for you guys and dolls.
Did you go? Hold on, John. This is more important than pinball. Did you go visit where Kenny was shot?
Actually, my personally, I could give two fucks where this great man was shot. Not really something that fascinates me. Yeah, let's go see where a great president got whacked. Woohoo! Yeah, okay. But that's just me, to each his own.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I didn't think you were going to go.
Oh, my Uber driver pointed it out. There's X's like out there. That's the building. X here. I'm like, oh, thanks. Now I could go on with my day. So it's a thing of beauty.
But I'm sorry, I interrupted your pinball speech. How was it?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I love pinball. So I'm here with Joe Blow, and we do these trips like once a year, where we play pinball at a pinball convention. And then we talk business in terms of the site and whatnot. And also we're old friends. So like 27 years we've known each other now. That's old friends. So we catch up, being that I no longer live in Canada. I live in California now. So now I'm in downtown Dallas, and that's it. Been enjoying, the barbecue and the fine bourbon. Well, speaking of bourbon, what are you drinking on this lovely day?
Well, I don't have anything really fancy. It's kind of sad. I have some Skull vodka I've been keeping in the freezer to mix, but I ran out of a mixer. So
you're going straight?
No, well, I put a bunch of this lemon juice in it.
Okay.
So I mean, it'll do. It'll do.
I figured I'm in Texas. Why not a little bit of Texas bourbon, which I've never had. Neither have I. So I just found it in the mini bar. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, try it out, man. Tell me if it's worth its weight in salt here.
Well, today, guys and dolls, pretty pumped. I'm always pumped. That's what I know. I'm always pumped because I enjoy doing the show. I enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy hanging out with you all. But we're once again tackling a film that I'm really excited to talk about. It's the 1990 Kathryn Bigelow, Eric Red, Blue Steel. So, cheers to you.
Hello, my friend! Hey!
Wow. Okay. That carries some kick.
I bet it does.
It does. It's just got a lot of punch. That's all. But anyways, enough of the bourbon. Let's talk about Blue Steel, which is a movie I always enjoyed, personally. A movie that never really got much love. And as opposed to a lot of Eric Red related projects, like Eric Red Kathryn Bigelow projects like Near Dark, that was both of them together. Eric Red, of course, had Body Parts, Bad Moon, and whatnot, and they all gained like a very strong cult following. And I'm here today to say that Blue Steel should be next in line because it has cult following written all over it, in my opinion. And with Jamie Lee Curtis's not resurgence, but her being in the limelight with the last Halloween, I really would like to urge all of you Halloween fans to check it out. But before I hijack the whole thing, Lance, what's your relationship with the film? What do you think?
It's one of those I saw it later in life. I always tell you that like it kind of dictates where it was in my kind of movie existence. I hated this cover. I still do. I think it is atrocious, but it actually makes sense now that I'm older. I get. It just seems like yes. It's on the cover. It's just like it has that kind of, I want to say, sort of erotic thriller. But now that I'm older, I appreciate what this is, and what this is a 90s thriller, and all of its embellishments, ridiculous, over the, like 80s had over the top instead of the 90s, but the 90s I always felt try to be classier about it. You know, it's like it's the same ridiculous bullshit, but they just were like early 2000s were really edgy, but nowadays it looks fashionably stupid. This is a good example of a movie that was, I think, actually ahead of its time in terms of what it was trying to do, but I probably think it was just at the wrong time for everything, because it was like a thriller, sexual, not necessarily erotic, but it had a lot of those undertones. The guy's like obsessed with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like cat and mouse. It's all relationship based. It has that sort of beat by beat, the guy can't be stopped. Nobody believes the girl. It works out pretty damn well, man. I mean, I would say as a whole, I think it's a pretty good movie. I'm surprised it doesn't get more love, but at the same time, I don't think Hand that Rocks the Cradle gets enough love. Unlawful Entry, like that this sort of 90s thriller, that this fits perfectly in line with. I think that genre hasn't got the resurgence it needs, or at least the respect it deserves.
My friend Eric Red, the writer, and I told him, hey man, next Arrow on the Head show we're doing Blue Steel. And you have anything to say about it? Just, I could bring it to the fans. And he's like, yeah, it's The Hitcher. It's The Hitcher with a chick. That's what I did. I don't think it was a movie that he was personally passionate about. That's just the impression I got. And Eric, if you're watching, listening, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that, but that's the vibe I got. But really, if you really look at it to some degree, it is The Hitcher with a chick, with, Ron Silver, like you said, being everywhere, getting in her life, people not believing that, he's the killer. And if memory serves me right, The Hitcher, it was the kind of thing that John Ryder wanted, Halsey, Jim to kill him. And Ron Silver wants Jamie Lee Curtis to kill him to some degree. That's what I kind of got out of it. Did you get that too?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he does say that death is the biggest kick.
Yeah,
the biggest kick, and that's why it's safe for the end.
He has her put the gun to his head, the light.
I guess that's a good point.
Liberate me, all this shit. So I could see it. I could see the parallels. I think The Hitcher is more elevated, personally. I think The Hitcher is smarter. The Hitcher is tighter. But there's a lot of merits in this film. And for me, what really popped at me on this watch, and I haven't watched this movie in a million years, was Bigelow's excessive but beautiful visual style. She really doubles down on close-ups, really doubles down on slow motion, like slow motion where there shouldn't even be slow motion. She's putting out the outfit, it's in slow motion. That gun going in the holster, it's in slow motion, for Christ's sakes. Sorry, Lord. The movie itself starts with beautiful, ECU, extreme close-up on the gun with the bluish hue, and a bluish hue that's pretty much prevalent throughout the film, which I really like. Gave it kind of like a surrealistic, like a small pinch of surrealism. And Brad Fiedel's score, who of course did the score for the Terminator 2, also added to that like surrealistic, almost dreamlike vibe. The film almost has a dreamlike vibe, in my opinion. And the visuals plus the music, and I'm sure you've noticed, maybe not, that Fiedel's score has the same like cling, metal clang that you hear in the Terminator 2 score, actually, definitely. I'm like, oh, look at this guy. He's using his bag of tricks that he would use, later on on Terminator 2. So yeah, plus the script and the performances, it just it's flawed, definitely, and we'll get into that later, but it's really made for a very engaging and fairly solid sit down. I mean, you want to take a moment and talk about the performances, because I was kind of fucking floored.
So there's one person who owns this movie. Well, two people, but one because one person I love by nature of being alive, and one person who stole the show. So here's the deal. I'm just going to say this right now, and I'm going to probably age myself either younger or older. Ron Silver, I don't know. I know him from one role, and I will for the rest of my life be like, oh, that's McComb from Time Cop. It's the bad guy from Time Cop. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people and be like, how do you not know him from? It's just what it is. I that's my age gap. I miss it. Trust me, it happens to everybody. You know. I know Clint Eastwood from. There's one where he's like trying to stop John Malkovich from killing the president.
In the Line of Fire. Yeah.
In the Line of Fire. That's what I know. That's what I know him from. Though. That's my start from it. Right. My dad would be like, "Are you out of your mind? You out of your mind? He's from this and this and this." I'm like, "Dad, you know." So I wanted before I get eaten by the internet. He will always be the bad guy from Time Cop, and I love Time Cop. But holy shit, this is his movie and his movie alone. I absolutely loved him. He is exactly the right amount of over the top, but calm and sadistic, and his expressions, his way, his little way he emotes. I mean, that man got an award for this. I'm not saying Oscar, but some award because he put everything into this dude. This is his movie. I got to be honest. I'm not gonna have to be like, shit, he's not Time Cop. He's the guy from Blue Steel. Like he just took out the Time Cop guy. Man, I don't know. I could talk all about Ron Silver's performance here. I think it was amazing.
It was, and the progression of obviously the guy's been nuts for a while, you know. So he's been just keeping that inside, and the shootout and him seeing Jamie Lee Curtis blow away that guy. He gets the gun, he kills his first. So you see his progression as to how fucking unhinged and depraved he is. And for me, I liked the Ron Silver character. I knew he was the killer, and I forgot, how far the movie goes. There's a scene at a certain point he killed a hooker, and he rubs her blood all over his face. I'm like, okay, this guy's way more fucked up than I thought he was, man. Like, that's seriously deranged.
Yeah, but I also like that the first half of the movie, I mean, it is a little low key. He's crazy, but he's you don't really know. And I want to say that probably the blood part after is when he's like a wild animal.
He hears voices during the. I love that bit when he's doing it's flies. Yeah, his peg flies, and he hears voices. What? Stop talking to me. And then actually Bigelow did a really nice thing, where she's like fairly close on it, and it closes. The camera opens, closes. The camera opens. That's when he starts to hear voices, and talking. Hey, don't talk to me. No, stop it. Which I think is reminiscent of a real life serial killer.
Son of Sam, probably.
I think so. It was Son of Sam, yeah, because they even called him the Magnum Killer or something like that in Blue Steel. Maybe I guess so. There's a bit of parallels with the Son of Sam, but I totally agree. Ron Silver owned the scenery. His fucking the intensity in his eyes. He could be charismatic. He could be scary as fuck. When he showed up at the parents' house, that was one tense fucking scene, dude.
So you wanna get going like we're supposed to? It's like, no, we'll just hang here.
Exactly.
Did I make a mistake? I thought we were supposed to meet someplace else.
No.
This is such a nice guy.
Yeah. And look, man, because you mentioned Time Cop before, and it's been in my head the whole time. I can't go on with the show without us doing a clip of Van Damme saying, I'm still kicking.
I'm still kicking. I must be on Broadway.
There you go. I feel better now. I could continue my day, because I always loved that bit. It cracked me up.
Dude, remember, Time Cop is like Looper starring Bruce Willis, only like 1,000,000 times better.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I wouldn't go 1,000,000 times.
No.
It's cheesy.
Did you ever see Van Damme had this one season show? It's actually one of the best things I've ever seen, where he plays himself. It's like
Van Johnson, I think.
Yeah, it's really good because the tone of it's really interesting. But the reason I bring this up is that the show starts off as like, my name is Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I was one of the most famous people in the world. Perhaps you've seen Time Cop.
Or maybe you've seen Time Cop, which is like Looper, starring Bruce Willis, but like 1,000,000 times better.
Black matter cannot occupy like space. Time Cop.
Time Cop.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really? That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
So what I mean, let's before we get to the Queen, Jamie Lee, let's address actually one side character that I personally was elated to see, and his charismatic performance was almost taken over by his wonderful hair. I mean, And that's, you know who I'm talking about.
You know
That's
about fucking Clancy Brown?
Clancy motherfucking Brown, the Kurgan in the house, dog. Talk about taking a thankless role, really, and making it really interesting through, number one, the curls, baby. I know, seriously, I was very impressed by that hair. The hair should have been on the poster. So, but not only that, charisma and I was happy that he lived. At the end, you kind of find out he lived.
I thought he died, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because the film kind of like your classic thriller thing, So when they introduced the best friend early in the movie, right away I'm like, dead. Right away, I knew it. She's dead. And then they introduced Clancy Brown. I'm like, fuck, that sucks, but dead. But then they made him survive, so I was really happy about that. Actually, you know what? Let's just take a moment, man, because Clancy Brown is just.
He's the man.
Yeah, he's the man from the Kurgan to fucking what's his name, Mr. Krabs, yeah,
well,
and SpongeBob.
Let's not jump over Gus and Pet Sematary too. There's some good stuff in there.
Let's put some Mr. Krab in there too, man. I love Mr. Krab. Money. So let's drink to freaking Clancy Brown, who's just a great fucking man, and it was a pleasure to see him in this movie. The Clancy.
Oh.
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
I love Clancy Brown so much, and when that man passes, I'm going to buy a flagpole, plant in my yard, pull up the flag, and then immediately go down to half staff, and be like, you've done well, sir. You've done well.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, me too, man. Me too. Huge fan.
Well, also, something I did not see coming, because I liked that he was like the grizzled cop that didn't really like or believe.
I know where you're going, yeah.
But then, and the surprise twist in my thing is he goes and fucking bangs Jamie Lee Curtis and has his ass out. I'm like, who would have thought? I was like, look at you, Clancy, young Clancy Brown. He's always been like an older gentleman. I didn't know he was getting into fighting this, having like an extended sex scene for no reason.
Yeah, I was sure we were gonna see more like sex scene stuff between Jamie Lee and Ron Silver, and for some reason they kept the bang for Clancy Brown. But that's what happens when you're Clancy Brown.
Yeah, Clancy Brown. Yeah, I mean they had a lot of it was like flirtatious and they did like this really awkward kiss a couple times, so it was there. But you're right, it was like in fact I may just ask this because me and Emily watched it together and we had a disagreement. Ron Silver, who Eugene, I guess I should call him Eugene.
Yeah.
He does rape Jamie Lee Curtis and comes, and that's how she gets him off him, right? That's what I saw. Because he goes like, and then she kicks him. So he does, because that was kind of a weird dark turn too.
That's the way I saw it. Yeah, that's the way I saw it. Yeah. But I could imagine how it was a bit confusing, chaotic in the way they shot it. So it wasn't clear. But yeah, that was my interpretation of it. That
just making sure
he dropped the load. Yeah.
There's one more guy I want to bring up, and I love him because he's a side character in everything.
The police captain, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking of. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the attorney because the attorney is Richard Jenkins, and I like that guy too. He's always in everything. But yes,
Bill and Ted. He's from Bill and Ted.
Yeah. But Chief Stanley, Kevin Dunn, is a side character in everything, and he just, he's that guy that I just like because he plays that exact same character, which is always like a kind of a wise Chicagoan. I don't know if you notice his accent, but he sounds like every neighbor I've ever had my entire life.
Cashier also states the suspect had a weapon, but can't be sure what it was. When asked if it could have been a knife.
But everybody's grumpy in this. And John, I think you know this by now, but my favorite archetype in a movie is grumpy. And so Chief Stanley, Kevin Dunn, he's grumpy. Richard Jenkins, the attorney, he's grumpy. Clancy Brown as Nick, he's grumpy. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Everybody's just like,
fuck my life, man.
This is his entire movie. Just people going like, oh, okay. Ending of the Usual Suspects. The cops drinking his thing and he kind of sees all the things on the board and he realizes what's happened. So I was watching this and I was having fun with everybody. And then by the end of it, I had this weird realization. And I thought back to all the times I watched movies and I realized I had what would be called in my old business a come to Jesus moment, which is I don't think I like Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't dislike her. I don't think she's a bad actress. But I just thought of every movie she's been in, and has she been my favorite part? And she never has. She's fine in this. Fine, she does her job. But she plays Jamie Lee Curtis. She was good in True Lies. Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis. But Tom Arnold and Schwarzenegger took that role. And I was like, okay, she's fine in Halloween, but I actually like she just plays a teen. She's my least favorite part besides a certain scene in Trading Places. So I don't think I'd like her natural vibe, which is Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, most actors aren't Christian Bale. They're not De Niro. It's like you basically play yourself in an exaggerated way in some way.
Yeah.
And so she plays Jamie Lee Curtis, like a gruff voice, kind of serious, has a little bit of vulnerability, but I don't connect to her. And I think I realized if I watch this movie, I'm like, man,
really?
She's never my favorite part. She's never. Yeah.
Well, you know, well, fair enough, to each his own. Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that.
I didn't either. I had watched this movie. I had a whole realization. It was a really weird time.
Well, she doesn't have the showy role. You know, it's a bit like let's use The Hitcher. You know, C. Thomas Howell pales in comparison to Rutger Hauer, because Rutger Hauer has the showy role, the meaty role. You know,
it's fair.
And this is the same thing. Ron Silver has the showy role. Clancy Brown's Clancy Brown. So there's nothing you could do about that. You just got to go with that. He's Clancy Brown. We're done. But I think I understand what you mean, because pretty much every movie she plays herself, Clancy Brown is Clancy Brown. There's no way to go, around that.
Yeah. You put him in because Clancy Brown. I get it.
Exactly. I have to marinate on that, to be honest. I don't want to talk out of my ass. But personally, I thought she was solid. I thought she was affable, like you said, vulnerable, also tough.
She worked.
Like the scene where, basically she just, graduated, became a cop, and then, has her first altercation with Tom Sizemore, and she has the gun on him, and you can see the fear in her eyes. She's trembling. She's scared, and it's her first time. I thought she communicated that very well. And her scenes with Ron Silver before she knows he's a nut job, that's one thing that I wrote. I don't have like a fancy thing. I just took the hotel ship, a fancy fucking Bible like you do. But one thing that I wrote is that it was too bad that Ron Silver is a fucking nutball, because they made a cute couple and they had nice chemistry together.
They did.
I kind of I was kind of hoping it would just become a rom-com, because I'm like, I like these guys together, man. They're cute. So
now, remember, she invites him upstairs. She's like, hey, you want to go up and take care of the business?
Time.
He's like,
next time.
It's like, exactly. He was so classy. I was like, wow. It's like, no, again later. In this, she's fine. She does work. I mean, I'll admit, she's a good actress. She's a good actress, and she hits her roles well.
Dig
and
that
in this,
grave. Dig that grave, buddy. Keep
and
digging.
in this, it works. It does. But my old negatives are a lot of what she does. That's the problem.
Dude, she rocked she rocked actually in H2O, a movie that I hate. She's one of the best fucking things in it. She rocked in True Lies.
Yeah. Keep going. Maybe I'll find one. Maybe there's one. There has to be one.
Obviously she was great in the original Halloween.
I'll give her that, but you know.
She rocked in Trading Places. Both of them rocked. Get it? That was a joke about the tit shot.
She looks great. She's in better shape than I am. Yeah.
She rocked in that movie with John Travolta where they work out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yes, her genetics were great, better than mine. I will give you that.
And she definitely rocks in this. So go. You know what? Now I've marinated. You guys won't have to wait until I come to some kind of conclusion as to Lance's opinion. Your opinion sucks. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on. Well, actually, before we go into like negatives, I got to point out, the last act. The last 20 minutes or so, which is actually very reminiscent of The Hitcher, because in The Hitcher,
that's
Jim
what I caught. Yes.
Yeah, is in the car with the police guy, and he handcuffs the guy to the car and goes after John Ryder, alone, because of mano a mano. In Blue Steel, same shit. She handcuffs
Clancy Brown the
car and goes, because it's a girl a mano, alone, with a beautiful fucking Sam Peckinpah inspired slow motion whoring shootout. That I was like, well, of course there's no cops around. I'll go with that. Suspension of disbelief, but really visceral and intense shootout between the two that gave me a semi. It gave me a semi. So yeah, well, that's how I roll. So I thought the film really ended on a super high note, a very strong high note, and yeah, when it was all said and done, I'm like, you know what? More people should love this movie. That was the thing I came up with.
I mean, let's get this out of the way. I mean, there's nothing I love more than a 90s thriller. There's just a style to this. I mean, like it's a holder from the 80s, but like I said, the 90s, I felt tried to be classier, and I like that juxtaposition. And I agree. I mean, there's not a lot of like there's some foolish things in here, but a lot of movies have this of that era. If you could look past it, the tone, the directing, and the acting is all solid stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun for like a cat and mouse, like Hitchcockian thriller.
Yeah. It's more. I guess we'll get into the negatives. It's more a couple of dumb moves to serve the plot.
I would say the biggest thing is, let's just talk about this, and I wish they could have changed it. The whole driving force of this is that they don't believe the guy had a gun in a fucking grocery store with 30 people and him clearly like screaming, with a gun. It's just, that's one thing I'm like, oh man. Like if the whole tone was like, hey, we believe you. There was a fucking gun. We know there was, we can't find it. Because of this technicality, but everybody's like, are you sure? And I get it. It's sexist. She's a woman, but 40 fucking people in that grocery store know he had a gun as well. The old woman right there, like nobody vouched. Somebody's like, he had a gun. She's right. They're like, well,
man,
what?
Relax with the 40 people in the fucking store, bro. Man, 8, 10,
Okay, all of them well aware of that fucking giant piece of hardware. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm able to just let that go because it's a movie, but I'm just saying, I just wish that the angle was that they all believed her, but it's a technicality, and that we got to go with what the DA says.
Yeah, and then Clancy Brown, of course, because he's Clancy Brown and he's a great fucking man, nails that point home when he does the thing with the comb. Yeah. And that makes sense. But again, all the people there. Also, 1990 would have had security cameras, but whatever. I don't agree.
care.
I
don't care.
Agree.
I'm willing to let it go, because Ron Silver has that amazing moment where like he basically like comes by looking at the gun. He's like,
yeah.
I was like, all right, buddy, I'm in. I thought I was out, but you pulled me back in.
Yeah, definitely. The same thing. Actually, they played the same game with when he kills the best friend, who's only there to die. And he came behind her, and that didn't sound, well, actually that did sound very right. He came behind her, and did you see him? How do you know he was there? How do you know it was him? Come on, dude. Man.
And also, at that point, why didn't she just say it was him? Like, why would she just be like, well, I guess I technically didn't see him. And I know that there's also some weird fucking...
Yeah, just say, it was him. I saw him. That's it.
Yes, because I know he murdered my friend. She's like, well, I'd have to play by the rules here. I'm like, oh. Yeah. Like, maybe at the very beginning, but at this point in the story, she should have. So all they had... that's another part where I'm like, okay, I'll let it go. Because Ron Silver's crazy. It's like, every time I'm like, I find a mistake in this movie, he kind of comes in with this, like, elevated performance. I'm like, fine, but yes, he shoots a friend, holds her, then walks away, and then they're like, well, we don't know who did it. It's, I know that it wasn't DNA, but man, was there no fingerprints? There's nothing, but whatever. This is where it becomes schlocky and fun, and I gotta pull myself back, because I'm like, we're all here to have a good time.
Yeah. How about the abusive dad subplot? Were you happy with where that went?
I appreciate it. It sort of ties into why she wants to be a cop, why she's kind of mousy. Like I get the idea about it. It was one of those things that I think the movie had so much going on that we didn't need it. Yeah. Like, so no, I mean, if you're going to have something like that, I'm the kind of guy that I love a good revenge thing. So like, I'd like that to be real taken care of. And they just kind of go for a drive and fix it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I was hoping
like
that
the guy, like,
exactly. That's what I was hoping for, that at least Dad gets a couple.
The Goodfellas moment.
Yeah.
Go inside.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was a good idea, but that really didn't go anywhere. It's like you said, they go for a drive. Why do you do it? I don't know. All right, don't do it again. That's it.
And it comes in, it's like, baby,
I love you. Exactly. I'm like, all right. It's only in the movies, man. Because in real life, that motherfucker's gonna hit that wife in about.
Oh, the second
2
she make her
days.
sleeve, she's going to the moon, man. Yeah, no.
I actually think because you keep bringing up the 90s thrillers, so Hannah Rocks the Cradle, Fatal Attraction, Unlawful Entry.
Yeah, this fits in that vibe. It's like
I think it's a little bit above it. I think that the visual style slash panache. I just want to say that word, kind of pretentious. Panache that Kathryn Bigelow brings to it is elevated compared to the visual style of Hannah Rock's Cradle, Fatal Attraction, Unlawful Entry. And that's just my opinion. And the same thing with the score. The score is more of a mood piece, where the other films scores are fairly generic. But here it's kind of like, I don't know. I just felt the audio visual approach on paper. It's a 90s thriller, but I felt the audio visual approach elevated the film to something a little bit more special. But that's just me. Unless I checked, I don't know jack or shit.
I won't disagree. I mean, I think it's classier, but I still think it's the classier version of that same sort of tale, though. It still fits in it. Just this is high end. This is the good whiskey where like well, I don't want to talk bad about any of those movies because I like all of them, but but some of those would be a little more, you're right, a little more pedestrian. This is not, but also that's because
it's not Whispers in the Dark. It's not Whispers in the Dark or
like this exact movie. 100%. If I just copied it and had a lesser director, it probably would be, changing nothing but just the eye behind the camera. So no, you're right though. She does it, but that's why she's. I mean, I just looked right. This was what she did right before, I believe, Point Break.
Yeah.
So it's like that shows you she went on and just changed the world. So yeah.
Where she, before we cap it off, I didn't do my research on her, but dude, she won the Oscar, if memory serves me right, for Hurt Locker, right?
Yeah, she did.
Or got nominated. Something happened with Oscars and Hurt Locker, right?
She won an Oscar, I think, for either Hurt Locker or 30. One of those ones she won the Oscar for.
Okay, what is she doing now? I haven't heard
from
her.
She did that movie Detroit about like the police getting vengeance during the 70s, I believe. I don't think it did very well, and that was the last thing. That was like,
dude, I never heard of it. So, yeah, so I guess it didn't do well because I kind of know.
Yeah.
But
she's had like this only a few movies in the last 15 years, I guess, if I'm doing the math right. Yeah, no, she's not heavily in. So I don't know. She might be doing something new. Hollywood's changing though, so I don't really know. Isn't it, these big directors having a harder time anyway?
Yeah.
And it's like a weird time.
Unless you're making a superhero movie in terms of the big screen, anyways. Yeah, good luck. Or a horror movie. Horror movies and superhero movies. But Blue Steel. First of all, have you seen it? If you haven't seen it and you got this far into the show, for shame, because we spoiled it for you motherfuckers. So I hope if you got to this point, it's because you saw it. So what do you think? When's the last time you saw it? Do you think it's as good as The Hitcher? Do you think Lance should wear more shirts like this? I think he should.
It's right here. What are you talking about?
Dude, you're very demure these days, man. I don't know what you're doing, cock teasing your fucking audience, but you're demure and it's embarrassing. That's why I tried to whore out.
Good. I wish I need more shirts. I've already out of shirts, buddy.
Just so I can't make up for your lack of whoredom. So
I don't, dude. It's literally as low as it could go. I don't have to tell you, man.
So yeah, let us know about Blue Steel and what you think. And thank you so much for watching the show. If you have any questions for Lance and I, shoot him in the comments and we'll answer him in the next episode at the top of the episode.
Cheers, buddy.
It's empty. Cheers. Cheers to all of you, even though it's empty.